morning, everyone. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the introduction, ma'am. It means a lot. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to present of what is mentoring counseling in higher education means. So getting into the agenda for today, we're going to discuss about this 7 main questions. So these questions are, really important in terms of understanding the concept and like what is mentoring in counseling and why is it required to mentor students or to counseling students, and who exactly needs the mentoring and counseling. What are the qualities of us as teachers to be best mentors and counselors, how to be mentors and how to mentor and how to counsel. So answering the first question, what is the definition in itself? Mentoring is any form of social learning where someone with more experience, a mentor, that means an expert, helps and guides the learning and growth of someone with less experience, the one who is a mentee, right? And counseling means a professional advice and a help given to people with problems. The person assigned with his task of providing guidance is also known as a counselor. Now, to understand the statement better, there is a graph written, and it is taken by a coaching center. So, what exactly it tells is on the y-axis you have future and past. So that means if a person is talking about the future, what is going to happen, then your quadrant is coming anywhere between first and the second quadrant. If you are talking about the past of a mentee or a or a person or a student whom you are counseling, then you are coming under a third quadrant or a fourth quadrant. Now on the x-axis, we have asking and telling. That means if a mentee, if a mentor or a counselor is asking questions, then it comes on the right-hand side. Or if they are instructing, advising, then it comes on the left-hand side of the image. Now coming to our main point of concern, that is mentoring. Mentoring comes into the second quadrant where it falls, where you're talking about a future and you're also telling what to do. So in simple words, if you're telling your students what to do in future based on your experience and your expertise, you basically are mentoring the students. Then what is counseling is the fourth quadrant. You're asking questions to the students, trying to find out what has happened in the past to that student, and then you're trying to come up with or you're trying to solve a particular problem which a student has, and that is called as counseling. So basically this is the main difference which all of us as a teacher has to know. So we have to know when are we supposed to do mentoring and when are we supposed to do counseling. So when is that we are supposed to do mentoring? Can anyone answer, please? If there is anything on the chat, could the organizing team please read out, because I'm on presentation mode. You can also please put it on the chat. Please think on when a student requires mentoring and when do you think a person requires counseling. And the answer is already there on the slide. If any answers? Okay. So in simple words, when somebody is asking you for a guidance on, let's say, this is the career which I'm supposed to choose. I am aspiring to do this. Can you help me with this? Right? For example, somebody wants to be a teacher or a government teacher. What are the exams you're supposed to write? How are you going to prepare for it? So all of these are mentoring. Let's say there is an aspirant of UPSC, or like he wants to become an IAS and IPS. He asks you, he comes to you with the thing that I have an aspiration in the future. I want to be this. So you have already been there. So what do I do? Then you're actually mentoring, right? And what is counseling? Is you have seen somebody doing a mischief, or if you've seen that somebody is going through a problem and they want to solve that problem. The problem is arising because whatever has happened in their past. So you are trying to find out what has happened in their past and trying to make or give or make them realize a solution for themselves so that they can come out of that kind of a problem, and that is called as counseling. So hope the definitions of mentoring and counseling is clear. If it is clear, please put an yes in the chat box. Okay, great. So now getting into the types of mentoring. There are 3 types of mentoring. Individual therapy, where only one-on-one you get to speak. One person is speaking to only one person. And that is called as an individual therapy. Group therapy is there are a set of IPS aspirants or defense aspirants, and you go talk to only those people. That is a group therapy. So one to many, that is group, and on-call sessions. That is, these are sessions which you are not in person present with the person, present with your mentee, but you are on call taking these sessions. So it can be online by any forms. So this is called. These are the different types of mentoring. The counseling, for sure, the students would not have a marriage and marriage counseling, but for sure they might require a family counseling, wherein they are going to have problems with the relationship which they have with their parents or with their siblings. So in that case, they would require a family counseling. What is educational counseling is a child would be stuck with, how do I deal with this maths? I've been in the past, I have been studying this math and I am not able to cope it up. So what do I do? Then they come to you as an educational counselor. Then we have rehabilitation counseling. That means that the student has been a prey of some bad habits, or they are not able to, come out of a trauma, and you're supposed to counsel them for that case, and that is rehabilitation. Mental health counseling is, you see them being physically present, but you see some of the people are literally lost in the thoughts, and they're always, you never see them smiling, you see them always sad, and you see them in the class where they're silent, though you know that they are talented, they are skilled enough, they have knowledge, they don't open up their and you never have seen them smiling, and these are the people who require your help in their mental health. The substance abuse, nowadays is a very sad situation that younger generation are having this kind of a real problem, where there is a peer pressure for them to use such kind of substance like drugs or cigarettes, which is very, or alcohol for that matter, which is very, they feel that they get socialized only when they have this kind of substance, and which is bad. Some people would want to come back, want to be back without having this kind of abuses, but they require some hands for help. And you have to identify such students who really require that kind of help, right? So these are the types. Now coming to the question number 2, why is mentoring required? Why is that, anyone requires mentoring? What does it give us? What are the benefits of it? You will gain advice and support, because alone we can't do much, but if there is someone who's guiding us, who's telling us their experience out on what path they have traveled through, it's always good. Identifying career goals, nowadays is a very huge, initially it was only engineering and medical people, most of the people were just thrown into that field, and it is not right. But there are a lot of careers, people have to be guiding them, like as in teachers have to be guiding them here to choose. and we have to know how to, you know, assess. Tell one career or like one thing which you've seen people have excelled in it. You should not just go by the crowd. You'll have to analyze what kind of a personality that person, a mentee of yours, has. Is he having the passion for that particular field? Is he having that, that goal to be there in that field in his whole career? So based on that, you are supposed to help them build the career. And if they know the right career, the whole of their life is going to go smooth. So that is why a mentor is required to know what kind of career they are supposed to choose and correct knowledge between the gaps. Now, most of them in the students, they're, they are, I've seen many of the maths, many of the engineers who are bad in maths. They would not even know why they are lagging behind, why they are not able to understand concepts. The simple reason what I found for maths is the concept, the basic concept which they've learned in their schools and PUC is missing. Or in PUC, they would have they've thought that I will do just this in differentiation and integration, and I'll get through. I'll just pass through this. And then when they come to engineering, most of the engineering topics are based on this basic concepts of differentiation and integration, and they fail to understand. So this is why, as a mentor, you need to know each and every gap of the knowledge which has been missing by your mentee, and you need to tell them on to what they have to cover up. So basically, mentoring will give them the idea of what I'm supposed to improve. Develop personal skills. Obviously, just studying doesn't matter. Every person requires to have a good personal skills, and if you have somebody to be accountable to, then obviously you will look up to what personality you have and what can I improve. Become more empowered. Just by seeing some of the videos or seeing some of the YouTube channels, you will not be able to be empowered. So you are supposed to ensure that you get to know a person who's already being in that field and know all the do's and don'ts of that field. That empowers you the most, right? So coming to third question, why is counseling required? The counseling is required because of all these 7 reasons. It gives you the less anxiety, greater self-confidence, and better relationship. So why anxiety is, a greater issue right now in these days is the students are pampered in their house. When they come into the environment where they see a lot of people competing, they get anxious and they don't know what exactly to be done to the reaching their goal. So removing their anxiety part becomes a very good, becomes a core part of the counseling. And this benefit is really the one which has to stand number one in counseling, because anxiety is a very huge issue. The stress has been coming up, so stress relief is also there. And they're going to get a more confidence when they have someone hand holding, right? And better relationships, they can have better relationships with their peers. Regaining emotional balance as in how do we react to a situation? If there is a problem, how do we see it? So that is what is important, and that is a benefit of counseling. Increase assertiveness, as in how much I take something positively. What are the positive points which I have for any situation given to me? Do I see all the problem as a problem, or do I have a approach to solve it? Then I talked about stress relief, ability to set boundaries, right? So you need to know what can I do and what I can't do, and just tell no when somebody asks you to do something which you can't do. So you need to know the exact things on what you can do and not do, and that you can realize by counseling. Trauma resolutions. Traumas can be of many types. So getting that released or like getting that erased, that can be done by counseling. So these are the reasons for which you are supposed to do counseling. To be specific on career counseling, we have these four main big topics. You suppose they can realize what are their strengths and super strengths by doing or analyzing the psychometric standards. Alternative careers, they can find out what are the different careers available in the same kind of a field. What do I mean is, science is a vast field. Now, when I tell science, I need to know what are the different careers available. If at all not doctor, what are the other alternative careers, right? So that is something which, like nowadays, it's naturopathy, Ayurveda, all of these have come up, and this is standing exactly at the same, standards of being a doctor. So you need to know what are the alternate careers and skills and tools. As in, you know what to become, you need to know how to become that. So you need to plan that for your career dream, and you need to have tools on how do we go to the destination. So basic tools onto what all should I do, what all timing I'm supposed to do what things is very much required, and how to make it big, right? If I just have an aim on doing a particular goal, how to reach that goal and make it look big. That is what you will be getting as a career counseling part. And how we as teachers can do is, you can have an expertise on, if you're a teacher of engineering student, you can know what are the options available for them when they graduate out of engineering. So, you should know, first of all, what are the options available, and tell them these are the options available. And you suit for this because I know you as a person since 4 years and you are suiting to this, but you choose your option. Give them that option, and then, you should not be imposing that onto them, but just tell them what it is. Then it is up to them to select onto which career they are going to be in. And this is how the career counseling helps. Now, who needs the mentoring and counseling? I'll now stop and ask you the question on, who do you think needs this mentoring and counseling? I require you people to answer. I know all of you are teachers and you would have seen the students in the class. So inside the class, whom do you think are the ones who require mentoring and counseling? The first benchers, the last benchers, or someone who is somewhere in between and not opening up? Whom do you think are the ones who require counseling and mentoring? I'm waiting for the answers. Even if it is, you can even open your, unmute yourself and speak. Okay. The answer is, everyone requires your counseling and mentoring, because it is not that everyone knows the path, or it is not that everyone is happy in their life. So every one of your student is requiring your help of mentoring and counseling. So you will have to give your time, other than just teaching, other than just teaching one-on-one is required when it is a case, when it is very intense, like someone is really into some kind of trauma or some kind of stress where they're not performing as they were performing before, then for sure a deep one-on-one mentoring is required. But when is it required to have, like everyone requires the kind of hand holding. So in your class, you just have to give them a 5 minutes or 10 minutes of your advice, your guidance, your way of looking life to all the people who are there in your class. So then your class has a meaning. Because when we take some subject, the subject just goes off for a semester. But what about their life? You're standing in front of them, just not teaching a subject. You should be the one who's going to teach them their life. You should be the one who will be showing them the path and stand by as a guide beside them all throughout their path of choosing their career. So concluding that, who needs mentoring and counseling? Everyone needs. So in your class, just give them 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the guidance. Tell them your experience, tell them what you went through, tell them what problems did you face, how did you solve those problems. This is going to inspire them to be a better person in their life, better student. Okay, so next, coming on to the qualities. What qualities should a best mentor and a counselor have? Now, this is something uh, which is endless, which is actually endless. But I'll stick on to what I have put on to here. Ask open-ended questions. Now, always when you're asking some questions to your mentee, ask them to talk, leave them to talk more than you talking too much. Try and understand exactly you are their situation is. So ask open-ended questions. Just don't tell me, are you from this place or that place? If you just ask that kind of a question, they'll just tell you one word answer and you will not know much about it. So let them talk, listen to them, right? So listening is a skill which requires a lot of patience, and you need to have an active listening skill. And that's very, very, very important when you're doing both mentoring as well as counseling. So that is something which you have to master. Self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Because mentoring can be done only by experts. If you don't know what kind of an expert you are, you don't know about yourself, then you will not be able to mentor your mentees. So your self-awareness is very much important. And reflect back on what have you talked to them for the previous time, first time, second time, third time. You need to know everything about what was your conversation all about, right? And you can also reflect back onto what your experience. You can tell them what was your experience and tell them about it. Very important part is the empathy. If you don't have this empathy, there is a very huge difference between sympathy and an empathy. Empathy is trying to find a solution for it, right? Not just telling, oh, sad that this happened to you. It is not that. Sad that it happened to you. Let us see how we can solve that together. That is empathy, right? And ask mentee to summarize. That means a mentee would have told you so many things, but finally you need to come down to a question or a problem what they are trying to face. So ask them to summarize on, or if you'd have given a full kind of an advice, after you have advised them, you to check if they have understood it correctly or not, you're supposed to ask them to summarize it. Okay? Separate issues. Now there might be different issues they're facing. So you need to ask them to find out, list them. What are the issues? Issue number 1, 2, 3, 4. That is something which you will have to do. Then clarify. Clarify is, you sometimes people, I mean, the students would be on the doubt. So you ask a question and clarify. Is this what you're asking me to help you with? So the clarification was important. Recognizing the incongruence. So you need to know what are the incongruences which is there in the student and try to identify that. Now, coming to what are the things which is required for being an effective counselor. So these are the ones. Now, there is something which you will have to do as a counselor, because you're talking about the past, when you're talking about the past, not everyone opens to you until you have a sense of humor, until you have the interest to listen, until you are ready to spend that time. So you need to have all of these things, uh, and also respect as accept the differences. You should not be imposing your point of opinion to someone else. Okay, you should allow them to speak out. You should allow them to speak out even if they have committed a mistake, and you should accept it, respect it, and leave it, right? So this is, and you also have to be sincere and honest. Maybe as a counselor you've been paid. Just because you've been paid, if you're not being sincere and honest, I'm sorry, you're not a good counselor, right? So these are the some of the qualities which you will have to ensure you will implement, or like have. Now, how to mentor students? What are things I'm supposed to do to mentor students? These are the 6 steps. First of all, you should have a self-awareness check and skill development for mentors. That is, you should have, when your mentee comes in, they should know the SWOT analysis of themselves. That is, they should know what are the strengths, weakness, their threats, their opportunities. So once they know that, they are aware of themselves. Then you know what are their weakness. After getting their weakness, find out what are the skill development they will have to do for going ahead. Then maintain and build that kind of relationship, mentor-mentee relationship. So a small example of how do I build a mentor-mentee relationship is just use handmade greeting cards, handmade bookmarks. Kids love them. You need not have to give them big gifts like spend 100 rupees on them. Try to maintain a relationship. Just a smile and a gesture that I care matters a lot. And getting that relationship right opens up a huge path for you to open up, and you will be able to make the solutions. So having building this relationship is very important, and that's the second step. The third step is establishing the needs of the mentee. You need to know what are the needs, what is that they are aspiring to become, what is that they are trying to solve and be trying to become. So that is very much important. Developing a needs-based mentoring plan. Having a mentoring plan is something which is very, very, very important. If a mentor, if a mentee comes to you when they're in the second semester of engineering or the second semester of their degree and asks you what is that they have to do if they have to get into a higher education, or if they have to clear gate examination, or if they have to clear a net examination. So you need to make a timetable for them or a plan for them onto this year this is to be done, this year this is to be done, and this is this is the CGPA which you will have to aim at. 8.5 CGPA and above for this university would be good. And these are the skills which you will have to develop. So if all of these things and you plan for them, it is going to have a roadmap for them to reach the places. Implementing the mentoring plan. Whatever plan said and done on the paper is all fine, but are you really implementing it? Are you checking up with your mentee time to time with the mentoring plan? Have they done it or not? That is really what is important, right? So implementing is something. Then evaluating as in you have set a deadline, like they have to get 8.5 CGPA. This semester they didn't get it. Did you check it? Did you evaluate it? And did you really come back with a plan onto how do they cover it up with the next semester coming up? So that is what tells you the evaluating mentoring plan. And you keep being in this process until they find a solution for what they have been your mentee, right? So these are the steps for mentoring. Now coming to counseling, how to counsel them, right? So these are the steps on counseling. First of all, some of the steps here also overlaps. The first step is developing the self-awareness, the SWOT analysis, And second thing is you need to talk about the abilities, how potential they are, what are their abilities? Are they good in that particular topic or not? What are their interests? What excites them? What makes them happy? What kind of personality they are? What kind of skills they have? So all of these, helps in developing the awareness. They should have it before that. Gain information about the industry. The whatever industry they want to be in. So you need to know what kind of counseling they require. I told you there are many kinds of counseling. The very bad part what a counselor does is, instead of knowing what category of counseling they belong to, they try to counsel in every field, like education also, career also, family also. These kind of counseling would not help students. So you have to be an expert in all of those fields, right? So you have to know what exact kind of counseling they require, which category they fall into, and then guide them onto that. Notes staying connected, match the information from the first two steps and find your right fit. So you need to first find out what are the different steps which is there available for them, right? What are the different alternative solutions they can have for that particular problem? Now, out of all of those, which is that which is going to be fitting properly for that personality? The same problem, let's say we'll take a problem of they're not able to understand a particular topic in a class. If that is a problem, the problem might be the same for two people, but the approach to that problem is going to be changed. How is it going to be changed? That tells you how much homework, how much thing you have done in the step number one. That is, how much do you know about the particular person? If you know that the person is, having a lack of ability in understanding maths basic concept, then the path is different. The counseling which you do is totally different. And if you know that they are good in the basics, but they have problem in their family, that they are not able to cope up that for problem, because of which their studies is at stake. So if you know that problems, then the way of solution becomes easy, right? So after sticking to a plan, you're supposed to prepare an action plan. That means you have to tell, okay, this is what you need to do, and again check up, evaluate it with the problem. So these are the steps in career counseling. Now, this is one of the picture of a camp which I had been. If you see all of these, I hardly have any of the cadets which are there from my college. These are the people who have just come for 10 days in my, into a camp for 10 days, where I am a person who was in charge of them, looking after. So wherever I could meet them, how much ever I could guide them, I've been mentoring those people. So when they're going at the last day, can you see the cheer in their face, the happiness that they carry, and the happiness they have being there with us for the last day shows how much they are connected to us. And that connectivity comes because of all the qualities which I have explained it to you. I'm just showing a small video here, which just shows that the cadets here, I have this experience of mine was really filled my heart. Never happened before, but I was really, really happy when they showed this gesture. So with this, what I tell is, if you're compassionate about being with the students and being with, contributing something to them and making their life better, you can be a best mentor and a best counselor. So the only thing what we want is the will of giving our time, giving our empathy, giving our emotions, giving our knowledge and expertise to the students. So we just have to ask ourselves, are we ready to do that? The only thing which we require is the will and the readiness to do that. So with this, I conclude my talk, and I request all the faculties here present that please have that will, please have that compassion in you to contribute to the community of students. Thank you very much.